You have 14 names in your head. Not 14 numbers, 14 people. Every government on Earth has a file on someone like you, and none of them will admit you exist. You didn't start as a killer. You started as someone who just needed to survive one night. This is how a gas station clerk becomes the assassin every government fears. And by the end of this, you'll understand why there's no way out. Level 1. Midnight, a gas station off Route 9. Fluorescent lights buzzing, coffee going cold in the pot. You're counting the register when a black sedan pulls into pump 4. It doesn't move. Not for 1 minute, not for 11. You've worked this shift for 3 years. You know every regular, every plate number, every excuse for loitering. This isn't one of them. The driver walks in. He doesn't buy gas. He doesn't buy anything. He sets an envelope on the counter and says your name. Not the name on your badge, your real name, the one you buried 6 years ago, back when you still had a rank and a reason. Inside the envelope, $40,000, a hotel key, and 90 seconds to decide. He says a woman is going to die at 6 a.m. He says you're the only kind of person who can stop it. You think about the mortgage. You think about how long it's been since anyone needed the version of you that used to matter. 90 seconds isn't enough time to build an ethics. It's enough time to remember you had one once. You take the envelope. Level 2. 1 a.m. A hotel room that isn't a hotel room. It's a war room disguised as one. 2 strangers and a woman named Dessa, pale, furious, trying not to look afraid. She's a whistleblower. Somebody on the inside wants her gone before she can testify. Nobody hands you a weapon. Nobody tells you who to kill. They hand you a floor plan and 4 hours to find the one path a killer would take. You map sightlines. You map timing. You map the parts of a building nobody else would think to look at. At 5:58 a.m., a man in a maintenance uniform steps through a door he has no reason to be behind. 4 seconds later, it's over. Your hands don't shake. That scares you more than if they had. Dessa testifies 11 days later. You never see her again. The $40,000 becomes the first entry in a ledger you didn't know you'd started keeping. Level 3. Weeks pass, then a phone call from a man who calls himself Voss. No face, no last name, just a voice that already knows everything about you. He tells you there's a list, names of people governments want erased, but can never be caught erasing. Traffickers hiding behind shell companies, arms brokers protected by diplomatic plates, men who've turned paperwork into armor. Voss says you're not an assassin, you're a correction, a fix for a system too slow and too compromised to fix itself. You don't fully believe him. You take the job anyway because the first one worked and because feeling necessary again is its own kind of drug. Level 4. Lisbon. 6 weeks of watching one man's life until you know his patterns better than his own family does. What coffee shop, what route home, what hour he thinks he's safest. The job goes exactly as planned. Clean, quiet, professional. Then days later, you read something you were never supposed to go looking for. He had 2 adult children who worked in his office. They weren't in the building that morning, but they could have been. You tell yourself that detail matters. You tell yourself you'd walked away if it had gone differently. You're no longer sure that's true. You start keeping 2 versions of yourself after that. One who takes the meetings, reads the files, disappears into cities under names that aren't yours, and one who used to fall asleep without mapping the exits first. That second person is leaving, slowly, the way a coastline erodes, not in one storm, but in 1,000 tides you don't notice until the shape of the land has already changed. Level 5. 2 years in, people in Voss's circle have started calling you the correction. You hate the name. You also feel a flicker of pride when you hear it, and hating that pride is its own quiet exhaustion. The money is different now. 6 figures a job, numbered accounts, a new passport for every skyline. You've stopped being able to sit in a crowded restaurant without cataloging every exit in the room. You count 14 names in your head now, not 14 kills. Some are extractions. One is a man you refused to kill and instead helped disappear into witness protection because the file didn't match the man standing in front of you. That one cost you standing with Voss. It's the only name on the list you can think about without flinching. Marseille, a job that should take one clean evening, turns into 11 minutes trapped in a stairwell. Someone was waiting. Someone nobody briefed you about. Counter-surveillance. A man doing his own job, protecting his own employer, the same night you were doing yours. You get out, he doesn't. You didn't plan to kill him. Planning stopped mattering the second the stairwell left you one door and one choice. Back in a rented apartment with the blinds taped shut, you write the after-action report the way you were trained to. No adjectives, no emotion, just facts stripped down to their bones. 3 days later, a payment lands that's bigger than usual. That's the system's way of telling you it was fine. It doesn't feel fine. You let the money sit untouched, a stain no wire transfer can launder. You're promoted, if that's even the word for it. Now you choose your own targets from a list labeled validated threats. It feels like trust. It's actually a transfer of weight. If you choose, the blood belongs to you now, not to Voss, not to the client 3 shell companies removed, not to whichever government agency signed off from a distance. You take the promotion anyway, because it pays more, because some starving part of you wanted to believe you'd earned the right to decide who mattered and who didn't. You call your sister once a year on her birthday and lie to her in a voice so practiced it doesn't even feel like lying anymore. That frightens you more than any stairwell ever has. A stairwell, at least, is a danger you can see coming. Level 8. You start losing time. Not blackouts, something worse, a narrowing. You surface from an operation and 4 days have vanished into the tunnel vision focus of the job. You can't remember eating. You can't remember sleeping. Only angles, only patience, only the weight of waiting for the right window. This is the cost nobody itemizes in the contract. This is what the money is actually paying for. Level 9. 4th year. Voss brings you a name that changes everything. A regional security minister. A file thick with sourcing. A campaign of disappearances targeting journalists, allegedly ordered from the top. You verify it yourself this time. Old habit, built the hard way after Marseille. The story doesn't hold up. The minister isn't the one running it. His deputy is, using the minister's authority as cover, while the minister quietly tries and fails to slow it down through channels too weak to survive contact with his own subordinate. The client wants him dead anyway, because his death creates a vacuum, and somewhere someone already has a plan for who fills it. For the first time in 4 years, you understand exactly what you're being asked to become. Not a correction to the system, a tool for engineering the next crisis on someone else's schedule. Level 10. You refuse the contract. First refusal in 4 years. Voss's silence on the phone is longer and colder than any threat would have been. That night, for the first time, you check the exits in your own apartment, not because of a target, because of the people who own the list. Nobody comes that night, but 2 weeks later, a courier delivers an envelope with no fee attached. Inside, a single photograph, the real man behind the disappearances. A date, a location, no explanation at all. Test? Trap? Apology? You genuinely can't tell anymore. That uncertainty is the world you built for yourself, one job at a time. Final level. You sit with the photograph for a long time. You think about Dessa, alive because of the first job you ever took. You think about the man in the Marseille stairwell who never got to finish his. You think about your sister's voice, thinner every year, still hoping the traveling job will end and you'll finally come home. There is no version of tomorrow where you simply walk away. People who know what you know don't get an exit, only quieter roads. You put the photograph in your jacket. The ledger is still open.
It was always going to stay open. And somewhere right now, another envelope is already being written with someone else's name on it.